Hey guys, welcome back to the Flippin Pod and episode 4. Today we've got Sam Stell stuff and we're going to be talking all things Amazon, eBay and owning your own Discord. Let's get into the episode.
So I was planning on doing like a video about it anyway, just from my perspective, because I got diagnosed at the beginning of the year and I've been on meds and different kind of stuff. I've not by any chance, any way nailed it, but it's been a significant improvement in that time. So I've been planning on doing a video in the next couple of weeks because October is ADHD Awareness Month.
Okay.
So, putting something out and be like, this is me, like,
Yeah.
My experience with it, as opposed to tips or whatever. It's just like my experience with it, because I think it's really interesting because everyone has their own struggles, like mentally, physically, but no one knows what they actually are, and no one lives it unless someone goes, actually, you know what, I've got that as well. Yeah. We relate that way, and you then have a mutual understanding with someone. Like, actually, you know what, I really, really relate with that on a different level, and I think it's quite important. There is a trend of ADHD, like, being more popular, like scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah,
or
not
Instagram.
as don't know the way to word it, but like before it was a bit of a
stigma. There was a stigma around it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I didn't get diagnosed as a kid, because the stigma around it was the kid that lobbed a brick through the window who's got ADHD.
Yeah.
Not the one that was, can hold a conversation, intelligent or whatever, but didn't meet their potential. And that's kind of the category that I kind of fell into.
Just go around in front if you want, Ricks.
And it didn't, really didn't get picked up like until last year. And then I was like, I'll go for a diagnosis period.
What were the signs? What do you mean? Like what?
Oh mate, I've always known that I thought differently to everyone around me. Like there's always been, and everyone said that, like the way that you think about stuff and talk to people and communicate or can, articulate something, it's always been very different to everyone around me. And there's been lots of examples of that being positive, but it's only in the last couple of years there's been lots of examples of it being negative. And then looking back at my past going, oh shit, every single day at the moment I'm like, that explains that from when I was 8 years old, or that explains that from this interaction with someone. Like, amazing. Like, but also my entire worldview and how I think about everything is gone, is like, actually, you know what, that's not how you think. You think completely different to how you thought you did. So it's been a bit of an adjustment period to that, for sure. But yeah, it has really good things and really bad things. And I've got it to the extreme. That's why I said I'm on a strong dose. Like my clinical diagnosis is you're in the top 99%, as in less than 1% of the people have the symptoms that you've got to the extreme that you do. I'm like, great.
All right, yeah,
great.
Yeah.
But that's, again, good things and bad things. And it's just learning how to deal with that. And in a relationship, how does that work? And with a kid who's probably going to have it, how does that work? Because it's hereditary. And
is it?
Yeah, so there's loads and loads of stuff that every day I'm learning something new about it. Like, man, this is amazing, but also challenging, and it explains so much. But how am I going to deal with this with my own son in the future? And if he does, you never know. But definitely had advantages, definitely had disadvantages. But your actual question was what were the signs, right? Like, how did it come about? We just sat.
You said you thought differently.
Yeah, thought differently, and then out of the blue, my wife went, "What if we just, do some of these online tests, like answer questions, and is it autism? Is it ADHD? Is it whatever? Is it a thing?"
What do you mean by thought differently, though? Because when I've seen you on YouTube or on social media, we've never met in person, by the way, is you come across really well, and in my opinion, you seem like a very intelligent guy. And you can articulate conversations very well. So what do you mean by like how is it good and bad? I'm trying. Are you able to give me like a bad example?
Yeah. So there are loads of different things with ADHD, and they present very differently in lots of different people. So what I say won't relate directly to someone else, but it's likely to, because I tick every box. But it doesn't mean that someone with ADHD will also tick that box. Just for context. Okay. It's probably easier to describe it in analogies, and the analogies that I've got that resonate very well. It's like my brain's like a Ferrari, but I have the brakes of a BMX. Like when I think about something, I'm going to do that thing, and I'm going to work it out to the best of my ability and do everything in my power to achieve it. But if that's a bad thing, I can't stop. So I've always yo-yoed with my weight as an example, because if I think I'm going to get a McDonald's before I go to the car boot in the morning, if I have that thought, it's happening. That is not happening. So that can be a bad thing. And that's a really good analogy, but also the how my head works in terms of thought process. Imagine if I was saying numbers at you and your task was just to add them up. And I was going 7, 15,
Yep.
pretty, some people will struggle with numbers, but it's a pretty routine task.
Yeah.
Now imagine there's 10 versions of you behind you all shouting different numbers at you at the same time. And your task is just to focus on me and keep adding them up. But all the other people, which are you behind you, are shouting random numbers or saying random things in your ear.
And are those people behind me, are those the thoughts in your brain?
Exactly that. So it would be, I could be doing something halfway through it, stop what I was doing because another thought had gone, actually, I need to do this, and go and do that.
Yeah.
Again, really good if it's multitasking or in an environment where there's lots of stimulus and then something takes priority and I need to go and do that. But really bad if that thing's really important to, manage that. And that's what the stimulants do. They kind of quiet those other thought processes so I can focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
And then there are drawbacks like there are with any medication. Water,
Yeah.
insomnia, basically. Don't really sleep well or that much, but they're worth the advantages that it kind of gives me.
Yeah.
Like a real life application. So I was a sales manager at Carphone Warehouse, right? So I might have 8 sales colleagues on the shop floor at once. I could be standing there talking to a customer, but I knew what was going on in every single transaction at any given moment. So if any of my team came over and was like, can you help me with this? I'd know what their name was, what their phone was, what their problem is that they've come up with, where they're in that transaction,
Yep.
and be able to step in without having to find all of that information.
But when you were listening to those multiple conversations, could you still focus completely on the one that you were dealing with, or was that then
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
I see.
And it's not being able to control that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the stimulant side of things, the stimulant medication, does allow me to focus on that and focus directly on that one thing. It doesn't help with all the other symptoms of ADHD. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It's basically you're really hypersensitive to criticism. Really, really hypersensitive. Even something that's not actually bad, it's constructive. If it's not delivered in the right way, or you can't, say you gave me some feedback and then I asked you follow-up questions on that feedback, and you couldn't articulate where it was coming from, that would hurt a lot, because like, well, you've delivered feedback, I've asked you more on it, and then you go, actually, I don't know. And I'm like,
That must be hard in the lifestyle that you've chosen, because you've chosen to be online.
Yeah.
And broadcast to the whole world.
Yeah.
You've chosen to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
You've chosen to run your own business and do support and all that stuff. So you must come across, I say critics, you're going to get a lot of people supporting you and cheering you, but no matter what you do, you're going to get a few people going, that was crap, Sam, no, that's crazy, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have picked that up, or no, this, is that difficult then to deal with?
If I can work out if there's a why, no. But if there isn't a why, then yes, it's really difficult. So if it's someone, we had a backlash, I guess, when we started Next Level, right? Like going, oh, it's just a scam or whatever. And people were making videos and stuff like that going,
really?
it's a scam. And like, I actually understand why people think that, because there are a lot of fake gurus and stuff like that in that space. And unless you know me or have been in the actual Discord, there's no real reason to think otherwise. It is just some people would then think it's a cash grab, etc.
This is a great segue, and something I was going to ask you later on, but let's get right into it now, right? Amazon RA, on my Instagram, on my YouTube, I'm seeing a lot of pages pop up, people popping into Lidl or wherever they've been, £500 profit, rah, sunglasses, BMs. It's becoming a little bit, I don't say hype, but like the way that they portray it comes across, in my opinion, scammy. It does, and there seems to be quite a few of these groups now. It comes across scammy. Now I've got a level of knowledge, not a great deal of knowledge, but a level of knowledge to understand what they're trying to say. But I think for someone that's completely new to it, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on some of these groups and the way that they market themselves? Yeah.
So there's 2 bits to that. There's the marketing side and how companies do it, and is it ethical, is it right, or is it to buy my product, buy my whatever it is. But then there's also the knowledge gap between the person who's consuming that content and the people who are making it, right? So if you knew nothing about eBay, like absolutely nothing, and I said to you, you could go and buy these for a couple of quid in a car boot, someone's going to sell you them for a couple of quid, and you could flip them online for 40 quid the same day, you'd think that's unethical, or no, you can't, because you don't have a knowledge around it.
Yeah.
But because you do have a knowledge around it, and you do have an understanding of eBay, you go, yeah, of course you can do that. I know why, because of the colour, the brand, the whatever it is, why there's a demand for it, but you also know why someone would sell it for a couple of quid, because they're just looking to clear house or get rid of their old stuff or make a bit of cash, whatever it might be. So your knowledge of that is already of a level where you go, actually, that's relatable. Where people then see reels online, if I made £1,000 in an hour or whatever it might be, they, in general, are pretty accurate in terms of the time that goes into actually making that in that isolated situation. But it doesn't account for the 6 other shops that you've been in and not bought something in. And accounting for all of that time as well. So it is true, you know, I did it a couple of weeks ago, went into, let's go with a different one. A couple of months ago, I went into Tesco, just as back to school was finishing, right? Clearance on calculators and pens everywhere. I spent probably 6 hours going through Tesco after Tesco after Tesco after Tesco. Spent 1,200 quid in that time frame. All the stuff is sold through now, all sold on Amazon, and made just shy of £1,000 on it. It probably took me a couple of hours to pack it up. So if you look at that, it's 8 hours of work. And then just under £1,000, it's over £100 an hour.
Profit, £1,000 profit. Yes. You mean talking?
Yeah,
so you spent £1,200. It sold through on Amazon for around 22.
Fees are slightly higher on Amazon, so it's probably closer to like 25, 26, something
along
those lines.
The net profit would have been about £1,000 for a day's work. But the problem is the way people market it, it sounds like that happens every day.
It doesn't.
All the time, every day. And there's always deals to be happening, but probably not to that level.
Yeah. It's like if I did a video where I got a Bakugan recently, right?
Love that video.
Like, amazing. Like, find of a lifetime. You know,
and you had, by the way, you had no idea.
No idea.
So this is an eBay sale, by the way, for the one.
Yeah. So if I then clip that and went, you can make £700 an hour on eBay.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing,
I mean,
right?
technically it's true if you did that once for 1 hour and then retired.
Can you replicate it?
What a way to retire. You should have closed your eBay store from there, by the way.
Exactly, I've done. I just talked about Bakugan now. You see me on a TED talk just talking about Bakugan, that's it now. But it's the same thing, right? You take it out of context, but that doesn't account for all the other car boot sales that I've ever gone to that I've come away and gone, I've spent 20 quid and I've spent 20 quid on fuel. Like, it doesn't account for those hours. When you break it down into a month, yes, you could make higher than a minimum wage doing all these things. And you're going to have peaks and troughs when you're successful and not successful. But the important bit is accounting for all of that time, not just that 15 minutes in Tesco, an hour in Tesco, whatever it might be.
I think what we need to do quickly, give some context to the people. So the way I can maybe ask you this is, you get in the back of a taxi, and the taxi driver goes, "Hey, Sam, good to meet you. What do you do for work?"
Yeah.
How do you answer that?
I go, "Hello, taxi man. My name's Sam, and I sell stuff on the internet." Yeah, it's like anything, like with eBay, right? You buy low and you sell high.
Yeah.
That's it. I buy stuff and I sell it online.
What is your current setup? So we talked a little bit already, Amazon, eBay. So just talk me through the business of Next Level Research. Just tell me basically what you have set up the structure-wise today. So you sell on...
So income in general, or just reselling income?
Just tell me, you may got to tell me the actual revenue, but maybe percentage of...
I don't mind, I'm transparent.
Go on, go for it.
So Amazon is by far my full-time job, full-time income. It's like 95% of the income that comes in is from Amazon. And when I've got my spreadsheet in the background that tells me how much I'm paying from which source, again, it outweighs everything. You know, if you look at my seller toolkit, which is just a piece of software that tracks profit, your cost of goods, because when you're selling on Amazon, you're selling thousands potentially of units, right? So it's a way of automating that. That's closing in on 200k in the last 12 months with like a mid 40k profit in the last 12 months from Amazon. And then eBay is basically a side hustle, just like it is for you. You know, full-time job, eBay's your side hustle. Exactly the same thing for me. And that will fluctuate month on month. It's actually got more fluctuation in terms of percentage than what something like Amazon will. Because it is, you know, sometimes you'll find those one-off mega deals and sometimes it's just bread and butter items. But it's the thrill of the hunt and getting out there and all those things that we love about eBay, right? Next Level, yes, we do make an income from it, absolutely. But the amount of hours that goes into it, like coaching and supporting and finding deals and making content for it and weekly live streams, it would be hard to work out. Well, it wouldn't be hard. We could work out what the return on investment in an hour is for it, but it's kind of like the YouTube thing. We do it because there's a community, there's a love for it, and there's also a demand for it. Like, we wouldn't do it if there wasn't a demand for it and people wouldn't be consuming it.
I agree with that. So, but I'm always struck by these people to go, I do it for the love of the people.
Yeah.
That's great. I know.
Yeah.
By the way, I do this for the love of the people, but I'm also thinking there must be a sponsorship in this somewhere, guys. Come on. But is there a future play? Like, is there this is a limited company. It's like with my stuff here, if I wanted to just pack up shop tomorrow, I can sell the value of the stock and liquidate the stock. But maybe with your group, there is something more valuable there as an exit strategy, potentially, rather than the Amazon side of things. Yeah,
there is more of an exit strategy in theory. However, I feel like a lot of the value comes from the myself and Kieran and our team that are around us, and the value in the community that we bring. It's kind of like someone has a personal brand, right? If you remove that personal brand, is the value of the business still there? So if you remove Anthony Joshua from Under Armour, what's the value of Under Armour relative to Anthony Joshua being there? Because he's the face of a lot of the commercials and all that kind of stuff. So actually, what's the value of me being there and Kieran being there and the staff members being in place? If I up shop, what is the reason why people are in there? People are in there to get deals, and that can be outsourced and delegated out and replaced. But if people are there because they like us and learn from us and can communicate and feel comfortable going, I'm in this position, this has happened, how can you help me? How can you help? That, is very difficult to try and replace. You bring someone else in, how are they going to feel about that? It's not so much of an exit strategy, it's more about diversification, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate of diversifying in every aspect of business. So that could be sourcing, that could be processing, that could be where you're selling, how you're selling. That's income in general, right? If you look at it at a macro level, it's income. Diversification, so Amazon, eBay, next level, YouTube, affiliates, sponsorships, right?
Yeah, quite.
You break it down, and then that's outside of just this space that we're in. You then potentially look at like investments outside of that. If you're, doing something else, like if you're house hacking or even an investment in a property, the property that you live in, there's the potential to make income from those kinds of things in the future. So diversification is really important, and at the moment, it's just another bow to that string should one of those ventures not be as successful.
So Amazon, it sounds successful, and I knew you were doing multiple six figures, which is unreal, by the way. So what I can't get my head around is why you and these other... I'm not going to call you a guru, but these other gurus, right? Are creating groups. Like, why do you need to teach people to do it to earn money if you could just go and do more of that thing that makes the money? Like, is there more money in running the group, than just going and selling on Amazon?
So that depends on how hard the person that runs it is still doing Amazon. I'm very much a practice what I preach. So when I buy stuff, the whole pictures go in the Discord, so people know that I'm buying the same stuff that's going in there. It's not like I'm running it, saying I'm doing numbers, saying I'm buying stuff, and then not doing it. I very much practice what I preach when it comes to that side of things. Is there more money in terms of scalability? Probably not. I think Amazon's got a much bigger potential in terms of scalability. It's more for the diversification of income. Say my account gets shut down on Amazon. What am I going to do if I've got no other forms of income? But the bit about why then teach other people and then have a value service around that, it's kind of the analogy around, talk to John about it, right? If I wanted to lose weight, I could go outside and run. And I'd lose weight if I controlled my eating and increased the amount of fitness that I did. I could go to a gym and pay a PT, someone who's lived and breathed it, lost weight, got into shape, and learn from all their failures and learn from all their successes. And it's the exact same thing. You can do that. The next kind of level to that, if you will, is then the sourcing that comes with it, right? So say I buy a product online or I find a product online. Say there's 1,000 of that thing in stock. I don't have the buying power to clear all 1,000 of those items, but I know people that will do. Therefore, it is valuable to someone else to have that information. So say it's a part-time hustle for someone. They don't have hours and hours to spend sourcing for products.
Yeah.
There's a demand there for it because they don't have to spend that time in buying that product. And then I can share it with someone that I've built a relationship with, built a community with. You know, there is a small exchange of the monthly fee.
Yep.
But the value that you potentially get from going, this product, you can buy it for 10, you sell it for 30, you'll make £7.50 profit per unit.
Yeah.
They buy, 10 of them.
How many
and it's
members
2
have you
months.
got currently?
75.
75-ish.
So it's not a massive
Yeah.
group. You always have the risk of creating more competition. But there are so many sellers on Amazon that competition is already there.
And how many groups are there, do you know of maybe, in the UK, you were to guess?
In the UK, 8, 10, something like that.
8 to 10.
That I'm aware of, that I would see as...
And am I correct in saying you were previously in a different...
Yeah. I learned a lot from the company that I was with before.
Yeah.
Like how I started on Amazon not really understanding the platform, a couple of months in, then joined. And I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. There are people in here that are doing big numbers. There's instructional guides on how I can get up and running, and there are resources of how I can buy products. There's value there, and I never had any issues or reservations. I thought the opportunity for me was around that community and having a face to it, as in done YouTube, had a following, Instagram, etc. I interact with people trust me. I could also do that and do it all video guides as opposed to a written guide. And again, build that relationship. So I've been out and done retail arbitrage days with members.
Yeah.
And that's not them paying extra to do that or anything along those lines. It was just, I'm going to go out and do this. This person's asked me, they said they're in my area. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because of that community side of things. Yes, you could look at it as they've paid for access and wouldn't have been in a position to do it otherwise. But that's life. Like, if you want to, if you wanted to go and have a chat with Elon Musk about SpaceX or something along those lines, you're not just going to be able to pick up the phone and call him or slide into his Instagram direct messages. There's time as a thing. There are only a certain amount of time in the day.
Let's get straight into next level resale then, because it was not going to come on to later, but we're in it now.
We're in it.
So it's a joint business between you and Kieran, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, 50-50
Straight down the
or
middle.
straight down the middle, 50-50. And who come up with the idea, who approached who, just talk me through that initial kind of phase and getting it set up.
So it came from myself as an idea about what's out there and what could we potentially do differently.
Yeah.
I looked at kind of inwards spiritually and looked at where my flaws are and what I would need in a business partner to support that. And I've always struggled, going, back to the ADHD thing about focus and keeping on target and being held accountable. If I don't have that, I will falter and fall off. So having someone that can help me with that, I can say, right, this day of the week, we're always on a meeting. We're discussing what we've done on the previous week, like a company, like a corporate job. You go on to your Monday morning boardroom meeting, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. What's gone well, what's not, what have we done, what did we say we were going to do, what we haven't done, and then what are the results of that. So that's something that I needed to just simply, firstly, bounce ideas off of, but also from an accountability standpoint.
Yeah.
Kieran is obviously someone that I've collaborated with and am a good friend with as a result of eBay and YouTube and pandemic. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
So there was the element of trust there, because if you go into business with someone, you need to trust them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're sharing a bank account, we both have access to it, there's money going through it. You need to have that
Kieran's
level of
clearing
trust.
it out as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't.
He's on the run.
At least give me something good. He's so there's the trust, and then there's that back and forth and support, but then also the complement of the level of eBay that he does complements what I do with Amazon. He's the other way around, right? So he is eBay full time and then Amazon as a side hustle.
Yeah.
So we mirror each other in that way.
Yeah.
So he will do account reviews for people where they'll post the eBay account and go through and go, actually, you know what, pictures on this one, they could have been better, trying to choose photo room or whatever it might be. Description, or change the title of this, or have you thought about going to a shop? That kind of analysis on a store.
Yeah.
So he can support with that, how to list better, how to source better, as well as Amazon. But I'm the other way around. I know that stuff about eBay and can advise on it, but it isn't my full time. It has been. So I've got the knowledge on it, but at the moment my skill set is with Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
So we complement each other nicely on that.
Any disagreement so far? Because
Absolutely.
business partners,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's never rosy, is it? Not always rosy, should I say?
Exactly that, yeah.
So
Absolutely. And if there isn't, conflict, there isn't progress. It's kind of like if you fail and don't learn from it, it's a failure. But if you fail and learn from it, it's not a failure. It's the same thing. If he has an idea that I don't agree with, if I have an idea he doesn't agree with, it might get a little bit heated, and it definitely has got a little bit heated.
Oh, really?
We've both
That's
got
good.
some fiery personalities, but it's the way that conversation is then handled. And then when we look back at it, go, you know what, we got a little bit fiery, but we came to a conclusion, we worked it out, we've implemented it, and these have been the results. So that conversation has been really productive and positive.
Yeah.
If we just then had a go at each other, called each other a load of names, and then hung up on each other, different story, right? Nothing's happening, no progress is being made. So yes, there has been, but there hasn't been any that have been like, right, we're done. We're splitting up, game over. Like nothing to that level. And we complement each other quite well when it comes to that. We have a good dynamic where I've got personally a lot of corporate experience of managing people and big teams and stuff like that. And he's very integrated within community, with his YouTube daily videos, Instagram all the time, like content machine. So we complement each other really well. So I can bring in some of the structure, he brings in some of the community ideas, and it's a nice way to bounce ideas off of each other.
And you've got 75 members at the minute. Mm-hmm. Is there a cap? And the reason I ask that is because obviously you give out RA leads and online leads. And obviously the more people you share that with, the more competition that breeds.
Absolutely.
So from a member perspective, I put myself in a member's shoe. You bring in 100 new members next month, I'm thinking my chance of snagging that thing is potentially less because I can go online and it can buy it potentially before I can, and that new member may be in my area and he can get to the Tesco before me. So how do you find that balance between number of members and keeping your current members happy?
So I'm going to answer that the other way around. So the happiness of our members is the most important thing. So when someone joins, we check in with them straight away. After 2 weeks, we check in with them. If we've not seen them active, we'll slide into their DMs and just catch up. We regularly have, every week we do a weekly live call, like on video, about a specific topic, and then it's Q&A, and then it's feedback. Like we really want that feedback, because ultimately, if we don't have people, there is no business, there is no opportunity, there is no community. So that's super, super important. And that is absolutely a concern people have raised before. And the way that we're going about it is, we have the core group of everyone that gets access to all of the deals. As we scale, we will then outsource more via virtual assistants and hiring more staff members to that find deals. That's what their function, their role is. And then within Discord, you can allocate people a specific role. Because you can allocate people a specific role, they can only see certain channels, right? So everyone will see the whole server, and then we'll have 0 to 100, like tagged up or whatever it is. They only get those extra deals. And then as we scale and get more and more members, everyone gets tagged up, and then they get extra deals on top of what's core going into the group. So it's not just 100 extra members, more money for me and Kieran. Absolutely not. It's reinvest that, bring in more deals, better value, without diluting the product that was already there. So it's not a case of, here's all the deals, now we're just going to split them up between everyone. It's here's the deals, that's the volume, that's the amount that are going to stay. Now we're employing this extra person as a full-time job just to find deals for this group within the group at no extra cost. And then with this group, and then with this group. And the same thing with bots as well, right? We could do the exact same thing with bots and working on that. But it is reinvesting.
Do bots work well? It seems like it sounds like a lot of ones that you've mentioned, the deals you've physically gone and found by the sounds of it. And
our best deals have definitely come from manual sourcing. Bots definitely play a part in it, and I would be ignorant to say that they didn't. But that's more for Amazon to Amazon. So we have a bot in place, right, that monitors Amazon price fluctuations. So say something went from 100 quid to 30 quid. We've got Prime Day coming up very, very soon on Tuesday. That will happen. You buy it at £30. You can flip it on eBay at 60, 70, or you can flip it on Amazon. So you buy from and sell back on. So we're having a bot that monitors those price drops and fluctuations and then sends a notification through is really, really important. Then it comes down to how accurate is that bot? What is the speed of that bot?
Yeah.
Like those things are all measurable, right? Especially if other people have then
And is
developed
that
something.
bot, is that used universally? Like, is that a custom-made bot
Yes.
for you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
So it
spot
isn't
on.
like all these RA groups are using the same piece of software.
So they all derive from the same piece of software, but the
Okay.
code will be different.
Okay.
Or some will be more optimized, some will be less optimized, depending on the developer, depending on the code that's gone into it, right?
Got ya.
And then you can have bots for different types of things. So some will have an automatic checkout bot. So
Yeah.
it will automatically buy that item. That's kind of more in this world of hype clothes and shoes, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
there's a drop and someone will then bot it and to land on that drop. We don't focus on that at all. The only bot that we've got in is the Amazon to Amazon bot. There will be more that we will implement in the future to do with restocks and price fluctuations on websites,
Yeah.
like other than Amazon. But if I go back and ask everyone that's ever been in the Discord what's been your best purchase, I reckon the vast majority of them would say that it's been one that's not come from a bot,
Been manually found.
been manually found, either in store or an online deal. And
Yeah.
there's been a few over the summer that people made a killing on that we didn't see anywhere else.
Got ya. That's good.
You know,
And what's your retention like? So you got, like, if 10 people come into the group this month, what are you seeing as your retention level?
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't know unless you try something.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and I personally tried it. At this point in time, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason I got Sam on the podcast is because I trust Sam and Kieran, and we've been following each other for a number of years. And everything you've said, especially in regards to that community feel and the support of tickets. I mean, you guys were working, must be some silly hours, because I put something in a ticket and I was getting, I don't know how you do it. I thought it was maybe some bot, but it's you.
Yeah.
So yeah, like what, but and obviously for me, it didn't quite work out because I didn't find that hunter-gatherer, you know, it felt, I don't say cheating, but like, I just didn't get that enjoyment personally. But I can see how others will, because others don't get the enjoyment of waking up at 5 a.m. to go to a boot sale like me, like the crazy man I am. So, but what is your retention rate roughly? Again, you may not know it exactly, but just give us a feel.
So it depends on the type of, if there's a promo on at the moment, you know, we've just done one which was a half price first month before Q4 type thing. So something like that. The type of person that will join is more likely to be someone who has never done it before. Therefore, the retention rate on that is going to be slightly lower, because it's like you just said, let's pop in and see if it's for me. It's 20 quid. You know, I'd waste that at a car boot personally on an item that may or may not be broken, right? If it's an electronic thing. You know, let me see if it's right for a whole month's worth of information. On top of that, there are also the eBay stuff that's in there to help eBay resellers as well. So there is value just beyond the Amazon bit. So on something like that, it's around 1.5 in every 10, so 15 in 100. Wouldn't make it past the first month.
Yeah.
And that could be because they found a stumbling block when setting it up that isn't right for them, and that could be tax reasons, if they've not potentially had a UTR before and think, you know, you could do the same thing on Amazon. You have to have one.
Yep.
There isn't a personal or private account. You have to have a UTR if you're going to sell on Amazon.
What are the core things that someone has to have to sell on Amazon? Is there like 3 or 4? You mentioned UTR. I don't know, but business bank account, or can it be personal bank account?
So,
what do you need? Like the 4 things you have to have to set up an Amazon account, maybe.
Yeah. So I'll come back to the full retention after then. So 4, that you have to have a UTR in whatever structure you're in. So if you're a sole trader, you should have a UTR anyway, because you'll be submitting a tax return. Exactly what you would do on eBay. You submit it at the end of the year. That's absolutely fine to use on Amazon as a sole trader. You would then have a bank account that is in your legal entity name. So if you're a sole trader, it will be your name that you would have to receive disbursements, to take a refund out if you didn't sell something out, exactly the same as you would for eBay. When you're a limited company, you need the exact same things. You need your company UTR and you need a limited company bank account, and they all need to match. It needs to be identical, and you will go through a lot of verification processes. And the exact same thing if you're VAT registered, you then have your VAT number as well, and you input that in the system. So that is a absolute must. Apart from that, technically you don't need anything else.
Name, address, bank,
Exactly.
UTR.
Yeah,
and
they
then
all fall under that UTR, right? Because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you've
of course,
registered
yeah.
with HMRC
Yeah.
with. So as long as you've got that, you can start up. You don't need to follow anyone. You don't need to do anything yourself. The Amazon app that you will get as a subscriber on Amazon, you can scan products and it will tell you roughly how much profit you'll make after it. It doesn't have full analysis tools. And this is kind of like a debate as if it's essential or not. The tool that I view personally as essential if you want to make a success out of it is a tool called SellerAmp. You scan the barcode, you punch in your cost of goods, you punch in the sale price, it gives you your accurate after fees profit. You can tailor that to however you want, as in I want to make minimum 30%, only, you know.
Is that the threshold? I've heard 30% a lot. Is that what you guys aim for?
That's what
or is that a personal thing? Is it depend on
business
volume,
model,
right? Okay.
Like a VAT seller or someone who does wholesale
Yeah.
is likely to accept maybe 15, 20%. If you've got a direct plug from a business and you're the only one selling it, you might go 10%. But to account for other sellers and other competition and account for some price fluctuation, minimum really you want to be is at 30% return on investment. And if you think about that, that's you spending a tenner to make £3.
Yeah.
And if I said that to you at a car boot, you'd laugh and walk off and go to the next store and find something else.
Yeah.
But when you can do it at scale and buy 100 of those items
Yeah.
in one transaction from one website, that's when it's like, oh, actually, the work that goes into it isn't as much. So yeah, the 30% is kind of where people are. Obviously, the more the better. And there are lots of deals that are doubling your money after fees. And they're the ones that it's like, right, I'm going to go deep in these and spend
Did you
a few
stop off
grand.
at anything on the way up here?
I didn't. I will on the way back though. I've already scouted
you?
out a few stores that I will on the way. But
Can you? What type? I'm guessing the community probably know this, but like, are we talking Tesco's?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing everywhere, right?
everywhere,
Any-
there's opportunity everywhere. Even in
Yeah.
like express stores or petrol
Really?
stations. Like yeah. Like I've been
bloody
in.
hell.
I've bought them quick tire repair kits that you punch in your tire
Yeah,
and
yeah.
foam and expands. Been in a Tesco and they've been in clearance before in a petrol
Do you
station.
look like a madman walking around Tesco, just scanning everything?
Absolutely. And I love the conversation when someone comes and asks what you're doing, because usually they think you're trying to steal something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, actually, I've got a hand scanner in my hand. I'd be stupid to be scanning everything on a hand scanner that's connected to my club card that's got my address on if I'm just going to try and walk out of it.
Yeah.
But anywhere that sells something that is on Amazon, in theory, you can source from. Technically, and this is the law of the land with Amazon, you need to prove the chain of where you've got that product from.
Yep.
So if you've brought it from a retail outlet, say you bought a Lego set, a Minecraft Lego set or whatever, it needs to specifically say that on the receipt. If it just says toys or Lego, that isn't going to fly if Amazon asks you for an invoice for it, because it's not an invoice.
Yep.
But a lot of the retail stores, you can get an invoice for. And that's the difference, right? If you give Amazon a receipt, no go. But if you give Amazon an invoice with your business name, your UTR, the product line by line, if it's VAT, got a VAT number on it, like that process, you can prove where you've purchased it from, the company that you've got it from.
So how do you get that from B&M? I'm in B&M tomorrow. I find 10 toys. I go to the checkout, but I get the receipt.
Yeah.
Do I say, no, can you give me the invoice as well? Do they do it then and there?
Every store's different. Every store's different. So some would be, you go to customer service in that store and say, can I have a VAT invoice for this, please?
Yeah.
They take the transaction number off the receipt, punch it into their till and print you off. Some of them you have to take that transaction number online and then they do it manually on the back end and send it to you. And it's the exact same as online orders as well. Some of them will automatically just send you an invoice via email. Some of them you have to actually request it.
So how about when I've seen a few people buy from charity shops and get some sealed media? So obviously sealed media does better mainly on Amazon compared to eBay. How are they getting an invoice for that or not? Is it, that's the chance you take sending
exactly
that one in?
Right.
Okay.
Amazon have got terms of service that you can follow to the letter. And if you're following it to the letter, if you cannot prove where you've bought it from and where they have technically brought it from, like the source to the original supplier, you cannot sell it.
Yeah.
But the only way that you're going to get in trouble for that is if you get invoice checked on it.
Yeah.
Because not every product, every product that you sell, you don't have to provide an invoice for.
Got ya.
When you ungate in the first instance, you provide an invoice to ungate in that category in general. So like DVDs, you do it on one and it would allow you to sell loads of them.
And I find this bit mad. Ungating, you can ungate using Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And some of them you can ungate in just by clicking ungate and it ungates you.
Yeah.
So they'd be I call them freebies because I was trying to collect them when I
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
But the other ones, you need to buy 10 of one thing, and you have to buy it from a Amazon business seller, and then you send Amazon the receipt, and then boom, you're done in there as well. But again, for me, as an eBay seller, I couldn't get my head around. I want to go and buy something and sell it.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and buy something and go, right, I've got this thing now.
Yeah, yeah.
And to go and buy 10 other things to ungate in it. But I suppose it's that it is that gateway of doing it once.
Yeah. So if you think about it from the consumer perspective,
Yeah.
I'm an end consumer. I'm shopping on Amazon. Amazon are the most customer-centric company. Like, if you have an issue with it, you'll get a label within a couple of minutes of raising a query with them to get it sent back. And before that product's even got to Amazon, you scan it at a locker and drop it in a locker, or your post office collects it and scans it for you. When it's scanned, you get your refund there and then. They haven't even checked over the products, right?
Yeah.
When there is an issue, like a delay in shipment, they credit you, or we'll just send you out another one. And if both arrive, they go, don't worry, keep it. Like, they are so customer centric.
Yeah.
So on the back end for sellers, they have to protect as much as possible so that dodgy stuff doesn't come through. So if I was wanting to sell a load of fraudulent or fake goods, right, and I didn't have to prove where I got them from, how happy do you reckon a customer would be on Amazon to receive a load of fake or fraudulent goods?
Yeah,
Absolute nightmare. So to prevent that from even happening, they're strict on sellers, they're strict on ungating, they're strict on following policies, and you can get banned pretty easy to protect the end consumer, which I think is a wonderful way of doing business, because you're putting your customer at the forefront of everything that you're doing. Yeah. So you're doing everything to protect that. Conversely, I'm also a customer of Amazon. I make them a lot of money, as in on fees, on everything that I pay.
What are the fees? Does it depend on the category?
Depends on the category, and it also depends on the size and the weight, right? Because they physically store the item for you.
Of course, yeah.
So if it's a pair of shoes versus like a fridge, you know, you're not going to really send a fridge up, but for comparison argument's sake, one weighs and takes up a lot more space than the other one.
Got you.
So depending on the category, depending on the item, will depend on the amount of fees, anywhere between 15 and 25%. But in general, you actually get more on Amazon selling something than you would another platform because of Prime, convenience, next day delivery.
Yeah.
So
eBay's roughly what?
10 to 12.
10 to 12-ish.
Depends on if you promote.
Yeah. Do you promote on Amazon as well? Is that a thing?
No, it doesn't matter. There's not really a stimulating the algorithm thing, like being consistent. The biggest thing for Amazon is being on the buy box. So when you go on a product and it says buy now, underneath it will say sold by the company, dispatches from Amazon. And that's, you would know that it would come from a seller like me in that case. Sometimes it will say sold by Amazon, dispatched by Amazon. That's Amazon buying it from the supplier and selling it themselves.
Got you.
Sometimes it might say sold by Next Level Resale, dispatched by Next Level Resale. That's me physically posting the item to the customer.
Yeah.
So that's the way that you know where it's coming from. But that buy it now is called the buy box, right?
Yeah.
99% of the people that have an Amazon account won't know that just underneath it you can click other sellers, and there'll be a long list of sellers there that were also selling that product.
So let's give an example here. Lead goes out to group, Lego box, buy for 10, sell for 20, right? Something super simple. We've all now got this Lego box, and the buy box is 20 quid, right? And I've got 100 of these, and I go, I need to shift these quick, right? But I know everyone else has got 100 of these. Is there like an unspoken rule that everyone tries to keep at that price and you share the buy box, so to speak?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm not sure if it's called bricking. It's called bricking, right? People start undercutting because they want to hold the buy box longer, or they want to get more sales. Is that kind of the idea? Just talk me through that cycle.
Buy box isn't just dictated by price, and this is quite a big misconception, right?
Okay, so if I drop it by 5p, that doesn't necessarily mean
the buy box. No.
Okay.
There are other factors at play, and it's not a thing you can just look up and these are the exact things that Amazon rank and how they rank them to determine the buy box. This is just the general consensus that's out there. Price is definitely one of them, but also the person who's selling it, their account, what does their reviews look like? What does their back-end customer service metrics look like? Are they responding to messages, or are they dispatching fulfilled by merchant products at the same rate, at the right rate? Do they have a high refund rate? how many.
So there is an algorithm in a sense,
Yeah.
but more from a back end perspective
Correct.
rather than a ranking perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So all of the account stuff, yeah. How many you have in stock will dictate that potentially. So if I've got more stock than you and every other metric is identical, I might get the buy box over you because I've simply got more stock. Location also dictates your buy box. So Kieran and I, fantastic example. He's got a distribution center from Amazon on his doorstep. So he gets same day delivery Prime. Imagine that, same day delivery.
Yeah, I get that around here. Do you not get that around your way?
I don't, I'm in the middle of nowhere, mate. So I get same day delivery post from the post office that's in the little village, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so he will have a different buy box to what you potentially will because you've got two different distribution centers next door to you, right? So if my product that I've sent to Amazon, if it went to your local distribution center, I would potentially appear on the buy box for you, but someone who's sent it up, near Kieran's way, they might appear for them, and we could be at two different prices.
Oh, okay.
At the same time, the exact same moment of the day.
So if I'm getting something shipped to north of England versus the south, I could, even if it's the same item, I could potentially buy different
prices, different person that's been selling it. Yeah. So it's not just the price bit, and because that concept isn't fully understood, it does create sometimes on products price wars and bricking where people undercut by a penny and a penny and a penny and a penny. And if two people are doing that, and people have got reprices, which automatically change the price of your product.
Do you have that on all yours?
Absolutely, but as long as it's set up in the right way.
Yeah.
So you set up a repricer with your return on investment in mind, accurate cost of goods. As long as you set that up to say, I'm happy to make 50% on this product, your price is never going to go below that, even if loads of people automatically drop it. But a repricer will also reprice up as well.
Okay.
So if, for whatever reason, I'm at 30 quid and someone's at 35 and they're on the buy box, my repricer will go up to 35 automatically in the background. So because of that potential of undercutting, it does lead to potential of bricking. And this is where the value of community, you said about the unspoken rule thing. I can't tell anyone what to sell their price at. I can't go in the Discord and go, everyone needs to sell at this price because that is price fixing and is actually illegal.
I was in a group before and I remember conversations around this, and there was then I don't know who it was, but they were saying, guys, everyone trying to hold at this price, and there was a bit of a, there was a message into the group that you shouldn't be bricking each other. But I also view that as, well, it's their product, it's their business, you can sell it whatever they want, right? Yeah. But I understand it from both perspectives.
Yeah. But that's the point of a community, right? Because if there's a lot of people that are interacting and genuinely asking questions and there's trust and respect that's built up, you're significantly more likely to be on the same page when it comes to pricing than you are everyone is out for themselves, like that kind of mentality. So the education around it going into it, if you're taught that price is the only thing that dictates a buy box, what are you going to change? You're going to change the price. But if you're taught all of these other things as well and understand that that's actually, you're buying things that meet your business model, then you'll be in a much better place.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that is not spoken about enough is the over-reliance on credit and how that impacts bricking. There is a culture around spending up on an Amex card or a credit card, buying the stock and paying it back next month when that stock is sold through, right? But there's not enough education that goes into actually talking about it. In the server, if that topic comes up, it's something that I use and utilize personally, but I don't advocate anyone doing it without doing their due diligence around credit and how it affects and interest rates and impact on credit in general, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I can do it for myself, but my advice is use cash.
Yeah.
Like, if you are comfortable using credit, use credit. Utilizing credit is phenomenal if you do it in the right way. If done in the wrong way, it leads to people panicking, going, oh my God, I've got a 10 grand Amex bill. It's going to eat interest if I don't pay it, and it's going to affect my credit rating every month I don't pay it. Undercut, get my money back so I can pay it back.
Yeah, that seems a very dangerous way of doing it, especially for a newbie. Yeah. For someone who's maybe been around, knows what they're doing. I can understand the leverage of credit, but I completely agree with that. Use cash. At the beginning.
Yeah. Move at the speed of cash to start off with, and then if you're of a mindset where you're comfortable to use credit, talk to other people that are doing it and that are doing it successfully and understand how to utilize it in the right way, right? So every month with my own Amex, I have a billing date. on that billing date, my bill gets generated, and then I don't need to pay it for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Say my billing date's tomorrow, and today I go and spend £5,000 on that card. I'm going to have 3 weeks to pay that back because my bill gets generated tomorrow, which will come out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Say I wait for that spend and spend it in 48 hours, I don't have to then pay that bill back for another 7-8 weeks because it will be the month after.
Yeah.
Which gives me 5 more weeks of selling that product, which means I don't need to undercut. I don't need to do all of those things. Also, going too deep into a product too quickly, I have a rule, unless it's a beautiful product, amazing return on investment, high sales per month, I don't go more than 10% of what my actual sales per month, my available spend is, and that's cash and credit combined. So say I had a 20 grand monthly budget to spend on stock, I won't spend more than 2 on a specific line.
Got you.
Goes back to diversification, right?
Yeah.
All my eggs in one basket on that one product. If that one product goes under,
even within Amazon, you're trying to diversify.
Exactly. You want to diversify the amount of products that you're spending. If you gave me the choice of putting all 20 grand on one product or 20 products that were all costing me £1,000 each, and they were going to make me the same return on investment, of course I'm going to pick the one that I've got loads of different lines because they're all going to be selling at the same time. But if I've got 20 grand off of one product and a bill coming up, squeaky bum time to pay it back, right? And that's where panic sets in.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough. Well, I want to say responsibility. The problem is they can't be responsible because you're not financial advisors advising people to use an Amex, and that's where it gets a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
If you're encouraging that, Amex have got a fantastic referral scheme. If you use my affiliate code, I'll get points. You'll get points. And if done in the right way, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's in there in points make prizes, use Club Card, use Asda Rewards. If you're going to, here's an Amex affiliate, top cashback. All of these types of things are in there, but it's not like this is the way you do it.
Yeah.
It is, if you want to talk about it, I will talk about it with you. I will actively say don't do it unless you're comfortable.
Yeah.
If you want to pick my brain on how I utilize it, absolutely fine. But that's not advice for you. That's how I work, my credit rating, because it can, if you don't control it, can have some serious long-term impacts. If you default on a bill and then debt collectors are involved, and then you potentially could go bankrupt. There's a huge snowball knock-on effect there.
You don't see that. I don't see that as often playing out from an eBay perspective because it's a completely different sourcing strategy. And whereas you're trying to buy huge volumes and spending a lot more, I spent 50 quid at today's boot sale, and you're probably going to spend £500 in Tesco or B&M on the way back down. So it's different. One thing I want to ask is obviously the model we've been speaking about is RA and OA. Yeah, cool. Is there a cap? Say I said, Sam, next year you just focus on RA and OA.
Yeah.
Where do you think you could get to? I know that's a bit of a guesstimate, but what do you reckon you could seriously do just in that model? And the reason I've got a follow-up question. So just talk me just RA and OA and so just revenue and potential profit. Could you go and do £1 million in revenue in those two, just by you yourself, not people running around for you?
That was going to be my question.
Go on, no, it's just you.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Am I leveraging other people's time or is it my own time?
It's your own time.
Right, so if it's my own time and I want to maximise it as much as possible, it's only going to be online arbitrage because I don't physically have to go out somewhere to a store and get disappointed. And I might get to a store and there might be 5 of that one product.
Yeah.
You want to maximise your return on investment as much as possible. There will absolutely be a cap because you still need to then prep all of those items yourself. So say you're online, you find some really good deals, you order 1,000 of those items, they show up at your house the next day. You've then got to spend however long it takes prepping those items, and prep can be different on different products, right? So in an ideal scenario, it would be a product that you just need to put a label on and put it in a box.
Yeah.
But if it was a cosmetic that could potentially open in transit, you need to bag those things up. If it was a toy that would be for a child, you need to put a choke hazard bag around that product.
Yeah.
There are extra steps and therefore time-consuming elements to that, right? So you could source, the most optimal way would be sourcing online out of what we've talked about there, but there will be a cap of how many items that you can process in that time, because time is the real constraint here, right?
Yeah.
If you can outsource those things, then unlimited is the answer. But doing it all yourself, finding products that are consistently profitable, return on investment, could you do £1 million in a year by yourself of turnover? Depends on the margins that you're happy with. If you're happy to make 10% on that, you probably could.
Okay, so you think you could...
Probably could, but you'd have to, again, like 10% on that, right? That doesn't allow much fluctuation.
Do you think you could go and do 100 grand profit? Let's spin that question a little bit then. 100 grand profit on Amazon next year, RA and OA. No matter, so whether you do 10% profit and do $1 million into 900 and the delta, or whether you have a bigger margin and sell. I'm just trying to understand is 100 grand as a one-man band, is that feasible or not? Net profit after everything.
Yes. I know people that do more than that.
Okay. My next question is there real money in private label?
There are advantages and
I say real money, 100 grand is fucking a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
Just be serious here, right? Yeah. And I'm asking where the real money is. No, but you get my question, right?
Yeah, of course. There's a method in between that as well. It's worth talking about.
Yeah, go on, talk me through that. Okay.
So that's going directly to a distributor or directly to a supplier, like the brand itself, and getting rights for that product and selling, again, another brand of a product, right? If I went to Monster and said, I want to sell these on Amazon, they might be able to.
Please sponsor the podcast.
Please sponsor. This is my favourite flavour as well, but got to keep the amount of stimulants down with some that are in my body at the moment. So you could go to that brand or a distributor that sells that brand and buy in wholesale quantities, right? As opposed to manually going through websites and looking for clearance or promotional deals or discount codes. So there is a step in between them.
Okay.
On a sliding scale, RAs here, as in profit and return on investment. You're much more likely on an individual unit going to get more return on investment retail arbitrage, right? Because it's an individual store that's reduced it on clearance. They want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to make margin on it.
Got ya.
But you're less likely to find loads of them.
More money on RA, but less opportunity to find is kind of...
Yeah, and less scaling opportunities, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's a finite amount that you're going to be able to get in one store, or a finite amount you're going to be able to drive from store to store to store in a day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the entry-level model. Then you go to OA, so online arbitrage, more competition, because it's a lower barrier to entry.
Yep.
I need to sit on my bum on a computer and scour websites. And I can outsource that to people that are in other countries doing that for me and pay them to do it.
Okay.
Right, which is what we do, like collectively as a group. That's how some of the deals come in.
Yep.
We use that money for virtual assistants to supply deals, we vet them, etc., etc. So more competition, more scale in terms of quantity of units, lower return on investment. Next step, wholesale. You buy much bigger quantity, barriers to entry a lot higher, because you typically need a VAT number to be able to open up a wholesale account. A lot of them require you to have a physical premises. So if you're going to Asmodee, as an example, they're like a massive toy distributor. They distribute all Pokemon throughout Europe and the UK.
Yeah.
If you went to them, they want to see you've got a physical shop that you're selling these products in, as opposed to just online. And some wholesalers won't deal with Amazon. So you've got bigger barriers to entry, but when you find a product, you can order 1,000, 2,000. But they might have minimum order quantity, so there's minimum spend, which means how am I going to process that? How am I going to get that cash? So
is anyone in the group doing that yet?
Yep. And it's something that I'm on my own journey for, but not comfortable enough to teach other people around it yet. I'll talk shop with people about it, but it's not going to be this is my wholesale course, because I'm nowhere near what I need to be, the levels to that game, as what I would feel comfortable saying, actually, you know what, I know there would be demand for it, because there's demand for the service we offer at the moment, but I wouldn't be able to do enough justice at the moment. In the future, that is an option, but right this second, I'm on my own journey with that, looking into it.
And the wholesale deal, are these for products that are, I'll say restricted, but like SanDisk, for example, that is a product which you can go and buy and sell, because it's, what's it called?
IP claim.
IP claim. Property. So you're saying if you had a wholesale deal with SanDisk or one of their approved partners, then that could be are you saying that a wholesale, if you get stock from wholesale, that stock that is potentially IP listed against other sellers, so you have a barrier of protection?
Yes, you might be able to sort out an exclusive distribution rights, but the type of business we're talking to be able to dictate something like that is monstrous. To go to a brand like SanDisk and go, I want sole rights to sell your products. You need to be big boy for that.
Yeah.
Again, higher barrier to entry, but more opportunity. You will still buy wholesale products that other people will potentially source online, but the difference is it's likely that your margin is going to be more, because you're buying it at a wholesale rate, because you're benefiting economies of scale, as in I'm buying 10,000 of this or 1,000 of these items directly from the distributor or directly from the wholesaler.
Yeah.
Their cost when they sell it to Tesco, you know, they're going to be somewhere in between that price and what the retail price is. If someone is then buying it from Tesco, the margins are even smaller, or an online website is even smaller, potentially. Again, this goes back to, I don't know that game well enough
okay.
to be able to give you a real in-depth, or I have a good understanding, but not to be able to coach someone through it or support someone through it, right? But there are opportunities there. So that's all selling branded products that have already done all their marketing, that have got media campaigns, sponsorships of their own. They've built their own brand, and you're just reselling their product.
Yeah.
In its simplest term, you're reselling someone else's brand and product, right?
Sure.
Private label, as a business, is you making your own product, importing it from potentially China, slapping your branding on it, promoting it yourself. You have sole rights.
Oh, that must be so difficult, though.
Exactly, because you've
got
to market
isn't it?
That's right? It. This bottle, like I'm sure there are loads of this specific bottle out on the internet, but to put my face on it and then brand it and then market it, that's the barrier for that business model.
Yeah.
The upside is no one else is selling your product. And if you've got a brand that you can leverage your own brand, or you can leverage your marketing in a way that goes viral, that's where there is a lot of money to be made. But there is much more likely to be failures along that way, as in, you might buy a test batch of products from a distributor, someone that you've never met across the country, and they might look fantastic when they come.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they switch suppliers when you order 10,000 of those units, and the quality's awful, and it's not up to spec. And then you're stuck with a shipping container of a load of products, like, what do you do with them? Yeah. So the risk there is a lot more, but the reward and upside is a lot more.
High margins.
Exactly, because it's all yours. And if you can, from our world of content creation, right? If I come to you and go, my water bottle, I'm going to get you to sponsor it on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's my budget that I'm investing on top of the cost, because the cost to make this is going to be peanuts. The real budget goes into there. How do I market it? And then you'll get a kickback for every sale that comes through on that bottle, and the one-off cost or whatever it might be.
That's why I love selling existing stuff, because selling the Nike pair of trainers, Nike have spent billions on marketing, and everyone knows who it is, and they know what they're buying. Whereas me trying to sell the Flippin shoes, it ain't going to go down too well, is it? And
There's some die-hard fans out there.
I'm sure there is. Let me know in the comments if there are some the Flippin shoes, if you want some. Right, let's go on to some other bits and pieces.
Yeah, go on.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Sam, is do you remember your old Instagram bio?
How long ago are we talking?
Maybe a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago.
I think I remember it, but I want to see if you remember what it used to say.
Was it literally just my catchphrase of, hi, I'm Sam and I sell stuff on the internet?
I think it used to say, wannabe entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did.
Is that true? Is that, my memory's good?
Yeah, you're right. That's spot on. It was in there. Yeah. I'd like to think that I'm less wannabe and maybe closer to it.
It's no longer in there.
Yeah.
I checked the other day. I was like, Sam's a fully fledged entrepreneur now. He's no longer a wannabe entrepreneur. So did you always want to be an entrepreneur when you was younger?
Yeah. Like, it's always been, I think, in my DNA. Like, at school, I was the kid that was selling chocolate bars and sweets and stuff like that.
You were the Gary V.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Just less swearing at people and being as direct, I guess. My favourite one that I did was there were around Conquer season, like, conkers playing conkers with each other.
My little boy's playing conkers in a minute.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So I used to...
You're selling conkers?
Selling conkers.
What?
But this is where it gets real, the upsell. So you can buy your normal conker, not drilled, not laced, not being baked in the oven, not vinegared.
How much is the plain conker?
It's 10p. 10p because I'm just collecting them in a
10p,
bag. 10p,
yeah,
get your conkers out, right? I can take them home. I can drill them.
Yeah.
That's 15p. You want a lace? Well, you're talking 25p. You're ready to go conker.
Yeah.
You want a special conker? Like, you put your order in, I'll take it over, bake it for you.
Really?
Yeah. So I've always been that way inclined, and knew that I would find myself in some kind of business. The road has definitely been a bumpy one, and that goes back to the unknowing about ADHD and stuff like that right at the beginning. But in hindsight, it's like, okay, it all really, really makes sense. Like, so I did like those kind of things and enjoyed it. Even when I got a paper round right? You got paid per insert that you put in the paper. I'd pay my brother to do them at a rate that wasn't that amount, and then take the difference and then go and post them myself.
Me and Rick me and Rick done a paper round.
Yeah.
We didn't deliver it, did we?
Is it just a big stack at the bottom of flats or something, or in a bin? What are we talking? Yeah, that's the one.
Burn it.
Burn it. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Like, it's entrepreneurial. And,
Yeah, then there's
yeah. I think there's a saying about get someone who's lazy to do it, and they'll find the most efficient
That's
way
the
possible.
Microsoft owner.
Yeah,
Bill
exactly,
Gates
Bill
says that,
Gates,
yeah.
right? So it's the same kind of thing, right? So those seeds were there from a young age. They weren't, I don't think, nurtured from my upbringing, in the sense that no one had done that in my family before. So there wasn't this is the blueprint of how to do it.
Your dad was, or your mum and dad wasn't like business owners.
No, far from it. We grew up in Crawley, quite poor. And then dad grafted multiple jobs, night school at once. That's my work ethic. Inspiration work ethic has come from seeing that growing up. He now does his own business of the trade that he had done. So electrician, and then the electrical estimates. So he does that for himself. So it's there now. But it wasn't there kind of growing up. So it wasn't until kind of secondary school it was like, right, you get to pick your subject time. And I'm like, yeah, business. I want to do business and economics. I've been after doing this for a while.
Yeah.
But I kind of did it as in, I want to go down the accountant route, because I'm like, I like business, I like numbers, accountancy makes sense. Did work experience, enjoyed it, did all of my education around it, messed up my first year of sixth form, had to redo it again, blatantly, obviously ADHD traits glowing through there. Went to uni, did 6 months of accounting and finance, and then dropped out because it weren't for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I've just spent the last however many years thinking that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Now what? During that time, I'd always been at Tesco, stacking the shelves. So I started off on the checkouts. As soon as I was 18, moved to customer service. I saw something in me interacting with people, whatever. I was like, okay, cool. What's money on the side? Was in Brighton, at uni in Brighton, dropped out. I'm like, now what? Oh, Tesco, I've got a management program. Let me just, I might as well be doing something, upskilling, finding out more about the corporate world. Did that for a little bit, and then moved into the Tesco mobile phone shop world. That was fun because it was interacting with people. And again, this is ties to the community bit and why I got into reselling in the first place, is interacting with people. I love it.
Yeah.
I love just talking and finding out about people, their motivations, why. And, when someone comes in with a phone, it could just be like, I want this phone. But actually, it's deeper than that. Why do you want it? Why have you got an iPhone? Why have you got this phone?
Yeah.
What features about it do you like?
Are you still an Android man, are you?
I am, absolutely through and through.
Samsung?
It's superior. Nah, Pixel, Google Pixel.
Google Pixel?
I did.
You got any Pixel 8?
No, I've still got Pixel 6 Pro, but I'm
6
eyeing
Pro.
it up.
You get iron up the 8 Pro.
I am. But, did a stint representing Google, very recently, for a year or so. So, in the phone and tech space, it ticked that box of technology and how interesting it is, but also the people interaction, right?
Yeah.
Then went to Carphone and, progressed through the ranks of a manager in there very, very quickly. Most people look
Sending
after a
some
store.
Geek Squad insurance.
Yeah, not Fraud Squad, no. Team Know-How was when I was there before.
Know-How.
Yeah, Geek Squad got binned off. But yeah, some interesting practices. But it was more around, for me, actually identifying a need for something and then relating that product to that person. And that was the bit that I loved, and why the people that worked in my team succeeded, because we all had that kind of how we talk to people, we're finding out why, and then can relate a product, whatever it is, if it's the phone, the case, the charger, the insurance, whatever, right to that person for the right reasons. And then a week before that lovely lockdown period we have, they closed all the Carphone warehouse stores and got made redundant. And I'm like, oh, now what do I do? I'm in this place again. I'm like, uh-oh. Got a little bit of a redundancy payout. And I'm like, okay, well, I could go back to Curry's, same company. They've asked me to come back. I could start something for myself. And I'd always watched reselling on YouTube. Ben Fitzpatrick, his building Lego and auction it all off, and the run up to Christmas was fantastic. I was like, it's amazing. And I tried it before whilst at Carphone, and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
At that time, juggling both. My commute, I was driving to Canterbury every day. It was 2 hours each way.
Yeah, wow.
It was a big time sink, so I couldn't do it at that point. But I've got some money. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Started it during lockdown, as a lot of people did. The community bit is, I am very lonely doing what I'm doing right now. I've gone from managing a team of, in Canterbury, 10, 12 people that I see daily, and then I do a lot of regional bits where I go out to other stores and have a big part to play, and to nothing, to myself. let's reach out and see what the community is. Start
Yeah.
YouTube, make friends. Kieran, John, Ricky, James. Like straight away, it's like a core group. We did live streams together, a couple of drunken live streams together, and that was amazing. Just making friends and integrating within a community, and that's kind of where all the reselling side started. Lockdown then ended up, and I'm like, okay, well, is easing up. I'm like, do I want to go back to what I was doing now that the world's opening up, or continue in the same lane? And
By the way, just touching on lockdown.
yeah,
It's great for resellers, wasn't it?
Gaming.
What a time.
amazing.
What a time
The
to be
amount
in
of
it.
screenshots on my phone of Wii bundles for 130 quid. It's just
Oh,
a board
no.
and 6 rubbish games and the console, one controller. Just-
I was still, I got caught up in the puzzles. So I got,
Oh, did you?
yeah, and I was
Yeah.
still buying puzzles after lockdown, thinking this is worth 20 quid. I get back on that, it's worth absolutely nothing.
yeah.
But yeah, what a time! What
Yeah.
a time that was.
But I was doing it all through Facebook Marketplace, right? Just leave it on the door. I'll post the money through and come and collect it. And it was brilliant. I started
Yeah.
with gaming stuff and enjoyed it.
So the whole lockdown? It sounds like you were full-time reselling
Straight away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do the...
Got the redundancy.
Yeah.
And just went straight for it.
Yeah.
There
And
probably
that's-
wasn't much else anyway, given what was that going on in the world.
Exactly. And that was the really interesting thing, because a lot of people will go like, how do you make the leap from part-time to full-time? And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't do it. Like I jumped in straight head first as full-time and figured it out with the redundancy money as a fallback.
Helped, yeah.
But also the place that we were living, low cost, so it wasn't a real risk at that point. Lockdown eases. We're talking about future kids, that kind of stuff. Myself and my wife, and like, actually, do we want something that's a bit more stable? But I need it to be the right job for me.
Yep.
It has to be the right job in terms of the company, in terms of the product, in terms of whatever it is. And a role representing Google wasn't directly for them, but a field, a regional manager role.
Yeah.
But looking after field sales managers.
So a bit like vibe, BSM, Blue Square Marketing.
Yes, exactly like that.
Okay.
Gecko,
Yeah.
being the company. Yeah, so as the regional sales manager for the South, looked after 20 odd field sales managers. Draw a line under Birmingham. That's what I looked after. Everywhere in London, everywhere in the West Country.
So lockdown was easing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you had two decisions.
Keep at it or go back into the real world, basically. And
The real world, I don't know how you put that.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? And you mentioned kids. You were thinking about kids, but why did you go back to the real world?
so,
What was the reason?
as I mentioned, it had to be the job that ticked all the boxes. Obviously, financially as well, right? And it was a well-paying job. Products that I already use, like it was all the Google Home stuff, the phones, and I'm like, I use all of this anyway. I love those products, so it ticks all of these boxes for me. Stability in terms of income. Obviously, we go back to diversification. It was just eBay at that point. Like the talk
It's a
of
whole.
Amazon,
Everything was all eBay.
all eBay, and at that point, then when I started traveling around, to visit my team, that's when I was going into supermarkets and starting retail arbitrage.
Got you.
That kind of 2-3-ish years ago, as the world was easing up. So yeah, just had to make that decision. But at that point, it was just literally eBay as an income, and it's okay. Well, I'm starting to see things dwindle down in terms of Wii bundles now 80 quid. I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Like, was it a bubble? During lockdown, the money that I was being able to bring, and how scalable is it, right?
Yeah.
You go back to the question of how much money can you make as a one-man band, apply that to eBay, it's possible to do a very nice income, but you're very, very limited by time, and it's harder to outsource bits on eBay than say Amazon. And it was just making that decision. It was like, okay, well, let's go with the comfortable route, the one that I know is going to pay me a good paycheck and I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Stayed there for about a year and then left.
So you stopped eBay completely, or dabbled?
Very seldomly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
You
just
went into this job at Google, and you then started to do some RA, by the sounds of it, kind of in a mix of that.
Yeah.
And then that's how you dabbled into Amazon.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit there.
Exactly
okay, got
that.
you.
Yeah, that's where the Amazon journey get
Began.
brought in as a side hustle. And then I'm starting to see, actually, in terms of business model, just purely an objective view, this is a lot more scalable than what eBay is. If I'm, leveraging my time and other people's time, I can see how I can overcome hurdles that people say are hurdles more easily in Amazon as a business model rather than eBay.
Yeah.
So it's okay, well, let's start Amazon and then see how that goes. And then it got to a point of the job that I was doing where I was spending too much time away. Like I was doing 3 nights away a week.
Yeah.
I've got a 3-4 month old baby at home. And it's not, if you got to do what you got to do it. But if there's an opportunity to not do it, I'm going to take that opportunity. And that's what I did. It's like, okay, well, I need to get old reliable eBay back up and running again.
Yeah.
Because I know that I can make some cash from it. I can learn about other areas, niches, expand my knowledge, find the odd £800 toy. Like you could do all of those things and have like a decent core income whilst I'm growing Amazon. And the 2 business models really complement each other well. Like you need cash, and if you're not using credit, well, I can make a load of money on this product and then invest it into Amazon, which will make me lower return on investment, but on a bigger scale, and then put that back in. The 2 models complement each other really nicely. So then started, and it was kind of like eBay's the main thing, growing Amazon, and then probably 16 months ago, 15 months ago, that switched, as in Amazon's now overtaking, eBay's on the back seat. I'm starting to put these things in place that will scale Amazon a lot more efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't have as much time for eBay. There's been, in that time since then, I've probably restarted from 0 3 times, as in personal, world, like family stuff, etc. that's had me just to stop, full stop, and restart. So I've proven to myself that it is possible to rebuild from ground zero again and again.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of, right, well, that shines a light on the importance of diversification, just in case, what happens if X, Y, and Z happens, or if eBay shut me down, or if Amazon shut me down.
So you're always going to juggle the two to a level. It sounds like Amazon, you mentioned 95%, some percentage where you spent the vast majority, but you're going to just keep eBay ticking along, it sounds like, for in the near future. Is that fair or not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to grow and scale. It's not for me, it's not a ticking over. I don't want to be just doing something that just produces the same results over and over again.
Okay.
I want to scale both businesses, and I'm absolutely very, very comfortable with the idea of delegating and outsourcing and leveraging other people's time that are in a position to do that for me, for the overall business. So one of them restarts that I mentioned was probably within the last 4 months, right? Starting again, hence the YouTube channel, 10 to 100K, like starting that challenge. It kind of coincides with that, right? It helps with motivation. But before that, when I was doing eBay and Amazon, I had a lister that would come in and list the products for me, and they would pack them all up. So all I was actually doing was buying. They would list, pack, test, all of that stuff for me.
Wow. Especially the listing bit, that's a tricky bit to delegate.
Exactly. But it is possible to outsource and delegate that, right? Like you could do that via a virtual assistant. If you take all the pictures, send the pictures over to a VA, they can fill out all the description, unless they just click the AI button, which isn't that accurate, but
it's awful.
Yeah, not great. But they can fill out all the product specifics, they can do the title, they can do the pricing, and then you just review it before you publish it. So you can outsource that to an extent, but I had someone physically coming in, cleaning and testing, taking pictures, and then packing it out when it's sold.
Okay.
And the way that I did that worked for the time that they were happy doing it, was on a commission only basis.
Wow, okay.
Because a lot of people look at it as in, I've got to pay them an hourly rate, like I'm going to be met with a £1,500 bill at the end of the month. How do I incorporate them within my business and pay them tax and insurance and all of that kind of stuff? How do I do all of those things? Well, they're self-employed, so they just provide you an invoice for the work that they do. That is just one cost to your business that you put through, sorted. You don't need to worry about all the other corporation tax, national insurance contributions, pensions, all of those kind of things, because they are a self-employed contractor to your business and just provide you with an invoice. There are some bits around insurance, like if they're working in an environment, like is your place insured? So if they have an accident, are you covered? But what we did it on, and this is then built into the buying decisions, is I would pay them out a percentage on whatever sold and whatever they listed. So say I buy something for a tenner and sell it for 50 quid.
Yep.
They would get a fiver for cleaning, testing and packing that item.
Okay.
And then I would build it into my buying cost.
Yeah.
So technically that product is then costing me £15. I did it on both, as in you get 10% for cleaning and listing it and 10% for packing it. So in theory it's 20% of the value, right?
Okay.
So if I said to you, you could go out there and spend 20 quid on something.
Yeah.
And sell it for 50. After fees, after the cost of postage, you're left with 40 odd quid. So you're making 20 quid on that item. Would you do that? Right, 20 into, basically a double up, 20 into a 50,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The difference is you're paying £10 for it, and that £10 extra you've just paid someone else to take away all the boring listing, testing, packing.
Yeah.
And as long as you get the percentage right of the type of product that you're selling, that can be a decent hourly rate for someone. So the person that was doing it for me before he went off to uni was averaging around £12, £13 an hour.
Okay.
So from me, you know, I could say I'd put a thing out and say £12, £13 an hour. However, I would then really need to manage that person. What's the quality of the listings? How many are they doing? What's the value that they're putting through?
They're incentivized to actually do work.
Exactly. If you give people the opportunity to make money for you and make money themselves, and there is an opportunity to, based on how hard they work, scale up the income, they're going to take that if they're of the right mindset. And obviously, you employ the right person at the beginning, and they're like, and understand that model.
Yeah.
So he could come in and sit in the garage for 10 hours, or if you have a unit or whatever, they could come in and sit in your unit and sit there and twiddle their thumbs for 10 hours and not do anything. They ain't getting paid for it because nothing's being sold, nothing's being listed.
Yeah.
They could come in for 2 hours and smash out a decent amount of listings, a decent amount of value. You know, in 2 hours, right? How you know, if you take your own model, how many pairs of shoes do you reckon you could list in 2 hours?
Quite a few now. Jeez, I could probably photograph within 60 seconds, list within just say 5 minutes per item.
Mm-hmm. 12 an hour?
Yeah, minimum, probably more than 15. I could probably do 30 in 2
30
hours.
in 2 hours. Now let's take someone who's learning, so we scale that back, you've refined your process, right? So someone that's just come in, maybe 10, like starting out. Obviously you still need to review it to make sure there's no errors, that kind of stuff. Let's say 10 in that time. What's the average sale price of your shoes?
Probably around 30.
30?
Yeah.
So 30 quid sales price.
Yep.
10 per hour, that's 20. Times that by the average sale price, right? So 20 times 30 is 600 quid's worth of value would go in your shop.
Yep.
Those 2 hours are then potentially worth 60 quid to that person if you're paying them on a percentage basis.
Yeah.
So that's if you just paid them 10% of whatever they sell for, right?
But so you're not doing 10% of what the listing value is.
Whatever it sells for. If I take an offer on it, they understand that it's going to be slightly less than that.
Yeah, sure.
And it's only paid out when that item sells.
Got you. Okay.
Eventually, it will be a regular payment because stuff will be selling all the time.
Yeah.
The first couple of weeks or hours or whatever will be you're effectively working for free, but knowing that the money will come.
Yeah.
Because you, as a business owner, can explain to the person, this is my sales, this is how much it shows, look at this is an actual sold listing of this product.
I get that and I understand it, and I think that works for some people, but definitely not for others. And I wonder how long term that could be. And I get your guy was potentially going uni or going off to uni, so maybe that was just a short term thing and it worked well in that dynamic. But if you wanted to get someone to come in and have the potential of being there within the business for potentially years, do you think that method works?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason why, if you look at every single person on the planet, how many of them are out there wanting to start their own business or actually doing it versus, no disrespect because I've done it myself, going into Tesco and sitting on a checkout?
Yeah.
Like, what's the ratio there, like, of people that are employed versus self-employed and actively doing it?
Way more people are employed, right?
Yeah. So there is a demand for that kind of work, as in someone coming in and taking pictures. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look at what they're actually doing, they're effectively, that person is effectively in another job, like a warehouse employee, where they're coming in, they're sorting out stock, they're listing, taking pictures, packing it all off. Like that's effectively what the job is, right?
Yeah.
Loads of companies have that kind of role and are in demand for that kind of role because not everyone has the capability or want or desire to make a load of money or be entrepreneurial, right? So there's a demand for that kind of role. So is it scalable? Yes, absolutely, because there's a demand for that type of work. But then if I say to you, actually, you know what, you can come in, I've got a Google Home next to you, you can put your favourite show on, you can listen to music, I don't care, as long as what you do falls within the wider parameters. You've not got a boss breathing down your neck going, review every month, why haven't you not done this? And you're actually earning more than what living wage is. Like, actually, you know what, if you get someone to that point where they go, yeah, I am earning decent money, I come in, I just put my headphones in and crack on and then I leave.
Yeah.
And it's how hard I work. They might go, I think the bigger risk is them looking around and going, I could do this myself. But then at that point, you bring them on. Like, right, okay, then you come on as a percentage partner in my business. Like, and give again the opportunity for someone to make money under your company. If they go off and do it themselves, absolutely fine.
Has anyone? I know we spoke a lot about next level resale, but has anyone done that in the group?
Nearly.
Oh.
It's a talking bit. But so we've got 3 members of staff. Dan, who's our lead member of staff, who started with us from day dot. He was the northern version of me at Google, so I've had a history relationship, right? Yeah. He's absolutely caned Amazon. He went from basically within, I think it's 10, 12 months of starting Amazon to leaving the job and going full time, and is now doing a decent monthly profit. You know, it's his numbers. I'm not going to shout and scream about them, but that is a VAT registered business as well. So he's gone from, you know, a decent paying job to leaving completely and just focusing on Amazon. So he's our like lead member of staff. But the 2 people that we've brought in as deal hunters that go out there and interact with the community and provide deals, they are 2 people that started in not knowing anything about Amazon, and we've gone, we look at your values, we respect the way that you interact with the community. Yeah. Come and enjoy the team. Free membership, and then we pay you. Like, you know, if you think about big business, do you think
you can't do it by yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Jeff Bezos owns something like 12% of Amazon. I might have got the numbers. I think it might be 21. It's one or the other. He doesn't own 100% of Amazon, but that's because he's brought in other people that are better than him at specific things, or stuff that he doesn't enjoy, and delegated it out. Yeah. Your slice of the pie is smaller, but the pie is a lot bigger when you can scale and grow. And I think I learnt that because of working for the types of companies that I have, and seeing kind of that, and also the way that my head works with the ADHD stuff. It's a very different look on life. So I can see how do you overcome those objections of growth and the value of bringing in people. Like, you are absolutely a product of the 5 people closest to you. Yeah, I agree. There's no doubt around it, right? Yeah. I think it was George's one that you were talking about, like Facebook groups and stuff like that. Yep. Right, if you're in an environment like that that's negative and tit for tat and stuff like that, there are some good ones out there. Shout out John, happy days. Yeah. There are some good ones out there, but if you're in a community and an environment that isn't stimulating, is negative, you're going to be a product of that. Yeah. But if you're in an environment,
and they're easy to find, by the way.
They are. Surprisingly.
Don't fall down that, because it's easy to get sucked into that vortex of eBay's crap, eBay's shit. I'm calling up eBay because they've got no money for me. I'm like, come on, like it just winds me up when I think, like, it's not eBay, it's you. Yeah, exactly. It's the harsh truth, but mentality. It's hard. It's hard when I see that, but it's also easy to get, I've had a bad day today. Yeah. I wonder why. And you just get in that groove, didn't you?
Absolutely. But then it's funny that you put a slight, you know, if you're doing a business that's a full-time income or a part-time side hustle, you put a slight cost of 40 quid, that barrier soon dissipates, because no one is of that mindset that's in the group wants to be paying that amount of money. So you don't get that around. Yeah. So someone that's in the group interacting with other people, they're paying to be there, they want to be there, they want to interact. Not just for the 324 deals that we did last month that we shared out with the group, for the community aspect as well. Yeah. Learning from people's mistakes, being able to open up a ticket, jumping on live calls, all of that kind of stuff. That community is there. That soon weeds out the rotten apples from our group. We kind of pivoted a little bit from eBay and scaling and stuff right there, but it's part of that again, that community, people around you. How do you grow and you scale? Both business models, going back to what we were talking about, if I'll continue doing eBay or continue doing Amazon, I will continue to scale both. So I'll get back to a place where the workload is unmanageable. Now I look at a solution to offload some of that workload at a cost to me, and then I work out backwards from how much money do I value my time, therefore how much money can I afford to pay other people, how much money profit will still be made if I completely outsource that avenue. So, you know, we've talked about eBay, someone kind of coming in and listing for you, packing for you. You do the exact same thing for Amazon. So we've touched on virtual assistants. So we have a full-time employee in the Philippines, contractor in the Philippines, whose full-time job is to source deals for us. And obviously the currency exchange is very, very favourable. Yeah. As in, you know, that's costing us under £300 a month for a full-time person. Wow. Okay. But that is a good income there, and it's from home. And their last job, they were island hopping, as in a commute. They were going from island to island. It was costing them like 3 hours in time each way to get to their job. So it's like amazing. I can work from home.
Yeah.
So outsourcing some of the sourcing, which is a time save for me, which means I can focus on other bits.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what are the other barriers? Money. Well, if you're moving at the pace of cash, we've touched on credit.
Yep.
If done in the right way, you can overcome that barrier. The physical packing up items, as in you need to put them all in a box, you can use a prep center.
Yep.
So we're partnered with a prep center called Link Prep. Basically, I do an online order. I can get that order sent to them. They box it all up for me and send it direct to Amazon. Obviously, there's a cost associated with that, a pence per unit effectively, and you get better rates as you send more in. But if you're factoring that in and you're buying, so you're still making profitable decisions, that removes the whole few hours of them packing something up. And it's like, okay, well, now I don't need to pack and people are listing for me. How automated can you get your business? Like, what bits now can I remove? Well, the accountants, right? Okay, so I don't want to do my bookkeeping.
Do you use prep centers yourself?
Depends on what product. So if it's for, obviously if it's for like in-store products, I prep that all myself.
Okay, yeah.
There is a little bit of hesitation with me fully using a prep center because I also use the products for content. But for items that have got enough margin in them and I don't want to deal with, I sent a pallet of printers to them as an example. I was like, these are big, they're going to fit 3 in a box. I don't want a pallet arriving at my drive.
Yeah.
Send it to the prep center.
Okay.
Like, you can choose to utilize what you want with a prep center based on the deal, based on how much margin. If it's a product that you're buying for £3 and selling for 10 and maybe only making £3 profit of it, 60p a unit is a big amount of that £3 profit.
Yeah.
But if it's a product that you're buying for 20 quid, selling it for 50 and making £15 on it, 60p of £15,
yeah, it's worth it.
ain't that much.
Got it.
And again, diversification. Like, you're not all your eggs are in one basket. It goes back to someone else. Like, it removes that. Ultimately, all of that time saved means I can be more efficient in business, but more importantly, delegate the time that I need to spend with my boy and my wife. And that's what we all do it for, right?
Yeah.
For our personal lives. So it means that on Fridays, I have it off regardless. On Tuesdays, I do a swimming thing with him every Tuesday. That's what I was doing this morning, swimming lesson with him. Don't have to ask anyone, don't have to delegate anything out. It's already done, it's already automated, it's already in place. These are the times that I have off. I will spend time with you.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the friends and relationships you make through that. So one of them examples, we went to Chesington recently. We went with Jack and Emily and their little boy.
Oh, nice.
So global thrifters. And that was amazing through friendships that have come from reselling.
Yeah. But
also the ability for all of us to go, well, yeah, let's do it. We can do it. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to call up a boss, call in sick.
Yeah.
But you need to put structures and systems in place to allow you to scale and grow and not leverage your own time for money, because time is a finite resource,
That's
right?
the issue. Yeah.
If you can leverage other people's time and systems in place and automate it, then you're eliminating the time aspect that potentially is a big barrier for people. But it's the mindset thing of, oh, I've got to train someone, I've got to manage them, I've got to do that. Okay, focus on what's the solution, not the problem. If you focus on the solution and how you can overcome that, then you're much more likely to do it. Again, same mentality, what you said about the Facebook stuff, right? If you're focusing on our refund, eBay payout, they've stitched me on this return or whatever, as opposed to thinking, okay, what could I have done differently then? Is it partly my fault? Did I incorrectly title the product? Could I have been more specific on the damage on it? Like whatever it is, refining that process so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
As opposed to the actual thing that's happened there and then. But worldviews are different for every person. And what's right for me might not be right for everyone else.
Yeah, everyone's got their different ways of doing it.
Yeah, and that's not me saying my way's the best way. Like, if you've got a system and a process in place that works for you, that gives you everything you need in life, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's all I want for people in general, is that you are, you've got that level of happiness. Your work you enjoy, it allows you to spend time with what you need to do. Not everyone needs to take over the world. Not everyone needs to, aspire to do 7 figures. Like, not everyone's built for it. Not everyone wants to, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. As long as you're happy doing what you're doing, that's the main thing, right?
I completely agree. Slightly off subject, but maybe not. Your YouTube channel. Your content is very good, may I add. So, before prepping for this podcast,
Becoming a suit and tie.
I watched back some of your videos.
Yeah.
Let's say I watched back some of the videos because I was like, I'm sure there was more videos than this.
Yeah.
So where have all the old videos gone, Sam? Let's call Sam out here because I can only look back 8 months and I'm going, where on earth? I'm sure Sam done videos past 8 months ago. Where are they gone?
So the restart of YouTube, I kind of wanted to focus on exactly what you just said in terms of high quality production and value. And if we want to go real deep into the analytics and how YouTube works and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to. I love it. But the thought process for me is if by chance someone clicks on an old video, which I wasn't putting effort into, it was just pick up the camera and talk and build community, like in that time, it was relevant for that time. And they look at it and go, nah, not for me. Their suggested video of one of my new content will be there and they look at it and go, it's going to be the same. I'm not going to click on it.
But do you not think, I understand that, but I also think like what you're doing now, in 5 years, you might think exactly the same. I don't want, because I'm not doing something quite different now. And I remember the old YouTube videos and I thought they were very good still. And there's nothing wrong with a raw video, pick the camera up and have a chat. And I understand the time and effort because the new ones are really clean, like multiple, and I notice it. You know, it isn't like me. Sometimes in my videos, I'll do a one clip because I'm so tight on time. I've seen the different backdrops and the way you cut and edit and put the intro and outro, which is super catchy. So what? That was the reason. You just didn't want people to look back and have a different.
I've gone back and forth in my head around both things that you've just said there, right? What I've said and what you've said, and you know, if you look at the role models within YouTube, not just our reselling space. If you take Mr. Beast, he's got all of his old videos there, right? You can go back and you can do that. Is that conducive for growth at the beginning? Probably not. They're not deleted, they're just hidden so that at a click of a button, they can all come back at any given moment. Because I'm very aware that people might want to go back and check out what actually, you know, how did it all start? But from a growth at this stage perspective, I think there's more downside to growth of the channel than there is upside. From a, you know, if the objective is to grow the channel, grow community, grow engagement, all of that kind of stuff with YouTube, I think there's a net downside to having them at the moment. In the future, when that's kind of got a lot of traction, I think it will be quite nice to do it and go back, and maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. Like I know my Vlogmas ones in terms of quality were really poor, but that was because it was daily videos every single day, get them out. I just wanted to get something out. There was literally one that was titled, "Do not watch this video, it's awful."
I'll definitely watch that one.
Like,
probably the most viewed video, right?
So this time around has been a very conscious effort. I started it before as a community, as a reach out to people, engage within a community. I've restarted it this time as I want it to be entertaining and educational and grow, as opposed to just me having a benefit from it, like reaching out to people. So because that's the objective, right, for growth, for scale, for a diversification of income, for whatever that looks like, whatever the channel evolves to in time, that brand, Sam sells stuff, brand, whatever, I want it to give it the best possible reboot. So that's where the decision has come from, right? Because there is a, like you say, there is a difference in quality between what was there. And even if that was a higher quality than what was average at that point, the average quality is also increased. So if you take a video from 2 years ago and compare it to the average video out there, it will be lower quality. So say someone clicks on your video and my old video is suggested, it's likely that my old video is going to be significantly lower quality than what your current video is. And then that will off-put someone from clicking on a new video, potentially. So yeah, the analytics is amazing in the background. Like we could do a whole day's podcast just talking about that.
Would you be open to making those public again then?
Yeah.
Right, leave some comments down below and let's see what people say if they're open for it.
So,
one thing I want to ask you now, the £10 to £100,000 challenge. I wonder, and is there a hidden agenda in there?
For what?
The way I see this, right, is the first couple of episodes, I'm like, okay. And then the last one, it clicked. I was like, right, I think I know what Sam's doing. And I could be wrong. Either one or two things have happened. So cause that is obviously starting from scratch, hunting around boot sales, selling on eBay, the way that I'm used to and the way a lot of people are used to doing it in this community. We've got to now roughly £2,000 revenue.
Yeah.
And the last comment I think you made was, what should we do next? Maybe some Amazon. And I'm thinking, right, two things have happened here. Either one, Sam's got fed up of going around boot sales every Saturday at 6 a.m. and he's got fed up of cleaning and electrics that don't work and VHS players that are broken. He's gone, fuck this, I'm done with it. Or two, he's gone, right, I'm going to start this series and I think at around £2,000 to £3,000 to really scale it to £100,000 because that's difficult in a video.
Yep.
I need to bring in Amazon. So was that always the plan?
Yeah. What buzzword have I said loads, right? Diversification, right?
Yeah.
So the money that will go into that challenge, I will still do eBay alongside it.
Okay.
Because it's good money for bankroll, good cash flow. Amazon, there's a couple of episodes that are filmed already, just need chopping up and posting out. And I may have spoiled one of them during this conversation about stock that I've bought earlier.
Okay.
That may or may not have been in the challenge upcoming. But that is a way of growing and scaling. But there will definitely be more types of money making in the future for that as well. Because I want to diversify my content as much as possible. Because ultimately people, I would hope, watch because of the quality, but also, that guy's all right, maybe I'll watch more. Like, so if I can portray that and then move into other areas and go, right, I've got 10 grand now. I try drop shipping for a month, see how that goes. I might really enjoy it and might personally make a load of money from it. I might not, and I might fail.
Yep.
But then I've got a bankroll of money in that challenge to go, I've got 10 grand, well, I'm going to use 2 of it for drop shipping. Or I'm going to try private label in the umbrella of Amazon, but a different avenue. I'm going to try and flip cars. Or maybe when I get to 100k, I might buy a property and start renovating it. Who knows? Like, we don't know where, well, we don't know, I might know, but where it's going to go in the future. There is a plan and a structure around it so that it's not just the traditional eBay content. I love the traditional eBay content and I still consume it and watch it and integrate with people in the community like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But in terms of scale and growth for a channel in general, is it the biggest niche and market that's out there? No, there are people that are leading the way. You look at John, Chaddy, Nick, George, that are kind of like leading the way when it comes to view counts, subs, etc. But if you macro look at the space of people that are involved or like eBay reselling, that niche is actually still relatively small. So if I can make the channel and the brand around how to make money in general, not just how to make money from eBay, not just how to make money from Amazon, watch me try and fail at this, watch me try and succeed at that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I see it going in the future.
Okay.
That also allows me to really channel my ADHD, as in from a personal level, what I enjoy doing and then I get bored of and change and impulsive, all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Or if I've got a channel that allows me to do that and I can pivot and my audience is receptive for me pivoting into other ideas, then I'm going to be ultimately happier doing those things and it allows me to do those things.
Yeah.
So there is a big plan scale for that in general in terms of growing the brand. Whatever
so you want to continue to grow the brand, Sam Sells stuff on the social platforms as well as the business and the Amazon and eBay selling.
Everything.
Wow.
Until it gets to a point where I can't outsource or delegate, or it's taking up too much time, or there is a better opportunity cost for something else.
Yeah, I've got 5 questions on here. I'm sure I've got another question that I need to ask you about. If I carry on talking,
fine.
Apologies.
Until it gets to that point of there is an obstacle that I cannot solve, then why not keep scaling, right? If there is a case of, well, my time's best spent here, and I can't outsource this process that's wasting a load of time, or not wasting a load of time, but isn't as efficient as this other one, why not continue scaling and growing? Because again, if one thing fails, there's another avenue, there's another avenue, there's another avenue that's all backing it up. And eventually, if I can get to the stage where, truly financially free, then fantastic. As in everything's automated, or the vast majority of it. And then the time that is input is leveraged through socials and brand that then leverage everything else. Fantastic. It's the path that I can see myself really, turning from a wannabe entrepreneur into an entrepreneur. That's kind of like the path. But also then it's a blueprint of someone that wants to start out, like going back to the series. If you're starting off with a tenner, this is what I would suggest that you do with a tenner. And then when you're at this amount, then try it. And then if I learn from mistakes about doing something else, don't try it with this amount on drop shipping, or do try it. Like,
Yeah.
it will help
that.
people on their own journeys. And
you mentioned about getting to 100 and potentially doing something with it. That aside, do you have any investments outside of that traditional, I say reselling bubble, but do you have other types of investments?
Yeah, so spare cash goes into a Vanguard ISA every month, and you can get, I think it's 20k worth of tax-free every year. And if you look back at the last 20, 30 years since those types of ISAs have been around, it's around 8% compound interest.
You're just doing S&P 500?
A little bit more aggressive. Because they're on Vanguard, you've got specific markets that you can tailor to, and it's a split. So the money that goes in, it goes into one which is 100% stocks and shares across whatever Vanguard think is going to be the most return on investment. So it's got a higher risk one.
Yep.
And then half of it goes into an 80-20 split. 80% of stocks and 20% bonds, and bonds are typically lower variance, lower lower potential returns, but lower variance in terms of going
lower
down.
risk, yeah.
Exactly. But if it averages 8 to 10% a year and compounds, then fantastic. You know, my boy's 2 next month. We've set him up one that automatically money goes into every month, so that will compound over time.
So only into, it sounds like ETFs.
Yes, yeah.
Not into individual stocks.
Some of them are, but the blend, like I could go on the portfolio, and the blend is very, very detailed if you want to get into that level. Basically, I've just gone with how long do I see this money being locked up for, as in would I want to keep it in there, and what is my goal with it. And if the goal is long term, the risk is nullified by time.
Yeah,
Right,
it doesn't matter if you have a bad year, down 10%, because you don't need to touch it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kieran, John, Ricky, James, and I had some fun with some crypto stuff when that was all bubbling, and made some mistakes, but also had some quite good wins as well. So out of that space completely at the moment.
I've done that as well. Yeah, and I lost on some individual stocks. So I've learned the lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
That if you do, and the way you're speaking is exactly the way I do it now. I just put a few £100 into an ETF every month, into a Vanguard ISA account, and you ain't got to stress about it. You ain't checking it every day. You can just log in every few months and go, oh,
that's
all right.
Or it's
gone down. Doesn't matter. You got so
it's not the money I need to spend month to month.
So other than ISAs, anything else?
Not at the moment. The goal in the future, once these income streams are at a very decent place, will then be diversifying again into property. Either renovating or rentals, whatever it looks like. I know kind of what's hot at the moment is like business unit rentals, so buying a block of whatever and then renting them out or subletting them all as individual offices or units, and that's quite a trendy thing to do.
Yeah.
No real solid plans on that at the moment, because the market will be vastly different by the time I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if I'm in a place to, you know, invest into other companies and stuff like that, then potentially.
Pokemon cards?
No, I did them for grade and flip as opposed to grade and hold.
Because I know you had some Charizards, whatever, but I wasn't too sure if you were just going to.
No, I'm very
keep it on
much.
Your pillow.
Yeah, I'm very much of the case of, say I bought something for 500 quid.
Sorry, I'm still here.
That's
I'm still here. Don't worry, I ain't disappeared. I'm still here.
Say I bought something, and there's the speculation that it may or may not go up. I'd rather, and I know I could turn it over. I'd rather turn it over, get the cash, and reinvest it into something else at this point in time.
Yeah.
If there is an abundance of cash, then it's looking at more speculative investments. You know, people do it in watches, people do it in property, in cars, in tradables, collectibles, trading cards, etc.
Yeah.
So if there's an abundance of cash that I don't know where to put money into, then diversify into more speculative assets. But I don't want to go down too far into that world. For me personally, I like to have some kind of influence on what that is, and you can't influence the pop culture of a Pokemon card unless you're Logan Paul.
Yeah, you've done a good job at it.
You did.
You've done a good job.
Yeah.
I definitely think we'll have its time again.
I think so, yeah.
I always wonder, like, when my kids are playing with Bluey and Paw Patrol now, and they're just ripping it up, and it's been lobbed in the bin, and in 30 years' time, I can imagine that. I'm thinking, they're going to be on eBay for like 100 quid, I know it.
It's interesting, right? Because
Because everything you don't think of at the time that's worth money, they're the things that become money, right?
Yeah,
Where the things that people loft.
Yeah.
Everyone's lofted the Super Mario, I don't know.
James collects, that's your fault.
I think everyone had it. And I think it dropped in price as well so much. I'm like...
Because the last one was worth a load of money. That's why everyone thought that the next one would be, right? So for me, it's a case of pre-releases and stuff. Yeah, maybe if there's a specific card, but again, you need to be in that space a lot to understand the market, to understand the demand for a specific card. You know, if the card is playable and that's why it's valuable, or if it's collectible and that's why it's valuable with the modern stuff, right? Yes, you know, long term the assets will probably increase, but again, like you just said, Pokemon cards now for our kids in the future, the cards that will be collectible, the cards that will be out now potentially, not the ones that we grew up with.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to
gauge.
Yeah. So that's why it's more of a speculative thing, right?
It's more. I agree. Any unknown hobbies?
Unknown hobbies.
Or hobbies in general.
Hobbies in general. Honestly, I'm a real workaholic. Like, I'll be up most nights until 11 midnight, just either editing or on the Discord or sourcing or whatever. So outside of family and work, I get into hobbies and then get out of hobbies. Again, an ADHD thing. Like, I'll be all in and then stop and realise that actually it's a bit too time consuming. So, you know, if I get into gaming, I'll be in gaming and then potentially it's going to sacrifice like other things. Go fishing, shout out my brother, snagged on fish. We just did an amazing video together. Yeah. But yeah, go fishing. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm an excellent roller skater. So
really?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, would you?
Roller skater?
Yeah, I used to teach people how to do it. Like,
no way.
Yeah.
That's
I blame my mum for that one. But as I say, I haven't done it in a
inline
while.
roller skates?
No,
or the
quads, proper,
the quads?
Yeah. Proper roller.
Can you do any skills, like any jumps and stuff like that?
There might be videos on my Facebook. For that,
oh, really? Are these the private videos on
the private ones. You got to subscribe to some seriously interesting things to find them.
The Sam OnlyFans account if you want to see the roller skates. Okay.
But at the moment, my life is work and family. Well, it's family and work. Family first and then work, right? So as much time as I can, basically whatever my little boy's into is what I'm going to be into at the moment. Okay. So to say, love swimming. Like today, you know, it was phenomenal, the session that we had. And then on Tuesday, it's more of a let's go have fun and swim rather than a lesson. As he grows up, I will try and suggest cool stuff that he should be, you know, consuming, like Pokemon instead of Peppa Pig or something. But you know, I can only indoctrinate him as much as he will let me.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's fun to see and grow and develop and be like, wow, this is just amazing. Like watching a mini me grow up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some final questions for you, Sam. Yeah,
quick fire.
And they've got to be quick fire.
Okay.
And we spoke at the beginning because we both listened to Jack Mate's podcast, but I need to ask him now, what is your what is it, meal deal?
Favourite meal deal?
So what, Tesco or... Yeah, you're going into Tesco, give me a meal deal. And don't tell me... He was going to lie and tell us the most boring one, but tell us the real meal deal.
It's going to be a chicken and bacon sub, like the baguette, chicken, bacon, mayo, whatever. A drink is either going to be one of these if I need a little bit of a kick, or a Pepsi Max.
Yeah. And
then either McCoy's salt and vinegar or the paprika. I think it's a different one. The Max one.
Oh yeah, they're the ones.
And that was the exact meal deal I had on the way here: paprika, Pepsi Max, chicken and bacon.
Really? What about the if it's not crisp? What chocolate are you going for?
I like the white chocolate ones, but you don't find many of them. Like white chocolate Snickers, you don't see them anywhere, but they are amazing. If you ever find them, you like trust me, I've got the belly for it. I can recommend it. Right? Like, all right. White chocolate Snickers, that's the one. You don't find them that much, but like a Mars bar, Lime bar, something like that.
Yeah. That's cool. Right, we did have a few Instagram questions. Unfortunately, I don't know what you guys are saying. They're not great questions, guys. 1 second, I need to try and put it on there. Right, a relevant question here. What do you enjoy the most about doing what you do? That is from Monty Resells. Monty Resells. So Monty, the thing that I like the most about what I do is the freedom that it gives me to do whatever I want, whenever I want. As long as the work gets done, it enables that work family structure to flourish and do what I need it to do. As I say, we mentioned a couple of times the way my head works. It allows me to
be there for them when I need to, because I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about, I've got to be at this place at this time for this meeting, or be overnight here, or report into anyone.
Yeah.
So that effectively the time it buys me outside of what I do. If you want to ask, like, what is it about the actual job? Like, I think the favourite bit is still the thrill of the hunt, finding something in a field that you don't know is worth a load of money.
Yeah.
Like, out of everything, I've not found anything that really replaces it. As in, you find a product, you look it up, and something you don't know, you look it up and go, oh my God, what have I just done here? Like, that thrill isn't the same. You get it when you're in a store and you find a full reduced to clear section, absolutely, but it's not to that level.
Yeah. Do you enjoy selling on Amazon more than eBay? How can I describe this? Do you get more enjoyment from Amazon, or do you get more enjoyment from eBay? And I saw Kieran get asked this question, and he flip-flopped between the two. And I think I know his real answer.
There are advantages and disadvantages of both. I think the disadvantages of eBay packing and listing are worse than the disadvantages of Amazon, but also the upside of eBay, as in the finding the items and getting out in the field, also outweigh the advantages.
That Bakugan, £700.
Yeah, like,
you don't find that on an Amazon, do you?
Never going to happen. Like, you might find something that's reduced to 10p and can sell it for a tenner or something like that. But yeah, I think in general eBay gets me more enjoyment than what Amazon does out of the two business models.
I'm surprised you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Given the scale of revenue, Amazon far outseeds eBay.
If it's based on, what's the goal, then Amazon. Yeah. But in terms of actual satisfaction outside of money, like, eBay, because of that thrill of the hunt, and you never know 2 days really the same when you're out in a field, or you go into a house clearance contact or an auction or whatever it might be. Yeah. You don't know what you're going to get, so there's that kind of thing of the unknown. And if they were equally as scalable, I think eBay would be the one that I would pursue more out of the two. It's just that the scalability is there more so than what is on eBay, on Amazon.
Yeah, on Amazon more than eBay.
That kind of makes sense.
Obviously, we've spoken a lot on the podcast about next level resale. I'm going to put you on a spot here because we spoke about it, but we didn't discuss it. Yeah. So if anyone watching the podcast wanted to learn more, anything we could offer the guys to go in and check it out?
Of course, if you use Pod 20, Pod all in capitals.
We did not even discuss. Well, we did briefly, but on the fly, we've discussed this on the fly. Pod 20.
Pod 20, you get your half price for your first month, so 20 quid.
We'll put the links down below. Yeah,
obviously, I said it when I did John's thing. You do not need anything like this to make Amazon a success. It's just whether or not you want to pay for a head start, a jump. That's effectively what it is, right? You do not need it. There are guides out there. There are Amazon Seller Central things that you can read through, Seller University. It's all there.
Yep.
But you're effectively paying for a shortcut and help and community and deals. Everyone can make their own decision if that's right for them. But if you want to try it and have it half price, why not? Give it a go.
Cool. Anything else you want to plug?
YouTube channel, Sam Sell Stuff, Instagram, Sam Sell Stuff, subscribe, and watch time. Make sure you watch all of this podcast.
We're 86 hours away from being monetized, which means there may be some ads coming soon.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm joking. I might not put ads on this, by the way. We'll see.
Vote in the comments down below what you want, ads or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
But congratulations on the 1K and
thanks very much.
4K after this, right?
Enjoyed it, man. Thanks very much. Let's do it. Awesome. Let's rock and roll. Rick, end.
Done.